Hey guys, Thomas from Team Sakuraso here, coming at you guys with 5 cards I have in your trade binder for January. Now, I posted a poll up on my community tab asking you guys if you wanted to see this series back, and a large, overwhelming amount of you wanted to see this series back. I think it was like 88%, maybe it's even higher now. But what's shocked me even more is roughly 10% of you guys had no idea what this series was. Now, that shocked me quite a bit, but then I realized in looking at my subscriber growth that I only did this video or this series like 3 times in the last 5 months, 2 to 3 times, and I've grown quite a bit in those last 4 or 5 months, so some people actually don't know what this series is. So I'm going to give a brief explanation, but if you already know what this series is, you could just skip on ahead. I'll have a little timestamp here. But basically what this series is I give you guys 5 cards to invest in right now that are going to go up, and I go in depth of why. I tell you how many copies you can pick up. I include future support and what I think it will arrive roughly at. And overall, I basically give you an in-depth of 5 cards to buy and why they're going to go up overall. Now, this series has some smaller cards, it has some bigger cards. I researched the market, and I only give you guys what I think is the cream of the crop. So I don't aim for good on this series. I aim for excellent, and that's why when you guys look at my past videos, and you guys who have been longtime subscribers know that a lot of the cards I tell you to pick up in this series hit like a truck. Right, I'm mostly right, and that's because I put my best foot forward to seeing where the market's moving and where it could be. I also kind of give you guys a rough time estimate of how long you guys can wait here for these cards to go up, because every card is different. So sometimes you have to wait a month, sometimes it could be a week, sometimes it could be even longer. You never really know. But my point is, this is basically a more in-depth market watch for 5 cards in a way. The name comes from I loved trading. I still like trading a lot. I just barely trade anymore, seeing what happened with the world, all that jazz. But we're gonna get right into it. If this video hits 90 likes, I'll do another one. Usually I give something outrageous like 90 likes so that I don't have to do this a second time a month. But I do like this series, so if we hit 90 likes, hey, I'll do it again, and I'll give you guys more bang for your buck. Also, if you're buying any of the cards that I list here on TCG Player, please use my affiliate link down in the description below. Not only does it get you a TCG Player faster, but by buying cards on TCG Player, it helps support me if you use that link, and it's to no additional cost to you. And it doesn't have to be just Yu-Gi-Oh! It could be really anything, as long as it's on TCG Player within, I believe, half an hour. So make sure you use that link. Consider being a YouTube channel member. Thank you to all of those who are YouTube channel members. And consider checking out all my socials. I have an Instagram where I post what I get from my collections, cool cards, etc., etc. And we're going to get right into it. So the first card I have here is Magical Musket Max. And this is a card that is about 2 years old. In fact, even longer than 2 years old, coming out of Hero's Revenge. Now, Magical Muskets are a deck that kind of pop in and out of Rogue category, and a lot of people sleep on this deck. But the reason why I'm telling you guys to grab these is because they're only about $1 to $1.50 right now, but they quickly go up to about $3, $4, which is over a 100% increase on your card, which is really, really nice actually. But the reason why I'm telling you guys to grab this card is we're getting a new spell card where you're able to immediately link normal summon, then immediately link summon. Now, if you guys don't know about Magical Muskets, this card essentially nets you like a +2, and it just goes crazy. Getting this off and making sure it's on the board before you, especially if you have a card like Brethren of the Wild, I believe it's called, that is going to ensure your play. And Magical Muskets have been seeing more play recently, and they've been mixed up with like Dogmatica and a lot of other types of decks as well, and it's been getting more and more popularity. For a card that is over 2 years old, only has 1 printing, it has about roughly 64, 65 listings out of the time about making this video. It could have even less now. And honestly, this card has been targeted by a buyout before, and it's sustained a good amount price while Muskets were relevant. Now, if Muskets ever get more support as well, all their cards are going to go up, and I think Konami would rather reprint all their other cards than their Link, because a lot of their older cards have gone even longer without a second printing than Max. Now, this is a good $1 to $2 investment personally, and this is what I recommend for a lot of cheaper investments. Now normally a playset's good, but when it comes to like being a cut like $2, $3 or less, especially stuff that are like $1, $1.50, I would recommend you get 2 play sets, solidify if you really trust me here on the logic. And by the way, they run at least 2 copies, if not 3. Most builds I've seen of the last year run 3 maxes because of how good the card is as well. So remember, this is also a 3 of, and that's something important when you have to look at, especially with extra deck monsters. If they run 3 of them, that means you're going to just need more in general. This card, I believe, in the next couple months can easily go to about a $5 card. Now, it could go insane if Magical Muskets get support or start doing more stuff. Yes, it can go to double digits for sure. But realistically, it's going to go to about $5 minimum. But hey, it could go crazy. After all, we've seen cards like Trap Trick Sarah go up to $35 when it was a measly $4 card. So, you know, and that is a similar card from that set that people slept on even harder than Magical Musket Max. And the card is, I believe, short print from the set. It's not as short print as other cards. But if you can open up a box. I've seen boxes where you could open up an entire one and not get one. So I would make sure you have your 6 copies here. That's what I would probably recommend. Now, the second card I have for your 5 cards to have your trade binder is actually, and if for those who don't know why I'm looking down like an idiot, it's because I have these on my phone and I have a little script. I put a little bit of effort into these videos. Is Inspector Border. Now, I'm only recommending first editions from Extreme Force. So while I make these videos and I talk specifically about the version, that is because there's no substitutes for it, or if there's substitutes I think that are relevant, I'll talk about it. If I don't talk about substitutes, that means you should be picking up. And while getting other versions of this card's not bad, the real profit lies in the original. Now, first editions are about $8 while making this video. However, this is a card that went from 6 to 7 to 8 within the last month, and that is quite huge for a card like this. However, it quickly goes up to about $20 in less than 15 listings. 15 to 20 listings actually, which might not sound like a lot, but this is a card where if you run it, you're gonna run 3 copies. Now, for those who don't know what this card does, since it is a bit of an older card at this point, basically it's used in certain stun decks. I know it's used, I think Roxton tried with it, I don't know if they play it anymore, but certain stun decks play this. I know True Draco also played with it, but what this card does is neither player can activate a monster effect unless the number of monsters effects that the player has previously activated that turn is less than the number of monster card types currently on the field. Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, XYZ, Pendulum, and Link. If an effect's activation was negated, it still counts towards the total for that turn. Only count effects that were activated while this monster was face up on the field. So essentially just limits what your opponent can activate. And cards like this are always going to be relevant in the game because they can't get power spiked, since we will always have cards that can play through negates, do all that. But activation is something that either you have the outs for or you don't. It's simple, and a lot of decks might not main deck the outs, especially for something like Inspector Border, whereas a lot of cards that are against activations, like let's say Imperial Iron Wall or other floodgates, usually, they're back row reliant, not monster reliant, so people are going to have that even less in the side deck. So this is a card that always pops up, sometimes in top 32, top 16, and it gains popularity here and there. However, seeing how strong of a stun card it is, it's not a matter of if this card's going to be relevant again, it's a matter of when. Getting a playset at $25, is roughly $24, $25, is really good, because this card, not only does it slowly already go up to 15, 20, and this is an older secret rare, so people are going to really want it, especially a matching set. But if this card's ever relevant, it could go up to $30, $35 a copy. Grabbing them at 8, that's a lot of money and bang for your buck. So I would grab those while you can. Now, the third card I have for your 5 cards out of your trade binder is Utopia Double. Now, this card is 15, and I think it could go to about $25 unless it gets a reprint up to 30. But honestly, seeing how they had so many ways to print this card, including that a structure deck that the TCG's just never going to get, I don't know when Konami's actually going to give us a reprint of this card. And since we've just got done with reprint season, and we're not going to see some reprints for a while, they probably are not going to snipe this. Now, what this card essentially does is it lets you swing for game with with double or nothing, and a lot of decks, including Trap Chicks, sometimes play this package where they use double in order to go crazy on your opponent, and basically swing once 4 game, or such a large amount of damage that it doesn't matter what deck you're playing, they basically should be dead on next hit. This card has gone up to $30-$35, and it used to be a $3 to $5 card, then an $8 to $10 card, and it's always gone up, but then when it's dropped, it's never dropped at its original price. It's always sustained higher, somewhere between the original price and wherever it got bought out. And I think that's going to happen again and again for this card, especially depending on how popular Double or Nothing is and how popular this engine is. You also have to remember that it is a Utopia card. In fact, it's a good Utopia card. So people who want to run Utopia, which there's quite a lot of people, I've never seen them in the wild, but apparently there's like fan clubs, all that. All jokes aside here, there's quite a bit of people who love Utopia and the deck surrounding it, and people are going to want to pick this card up. Collectors already have their copies, but they might want more. Some collectors are late to collecting, so they kind of have to buy the bullet on quite a few of the stuff. That's me as a collector. This is a card that is meta relevant and collector relevant that hasn't had a printing in a while. Get this whole Dupo Ultra while you can. Now, the fourth card that I have here, I'm going to talk about this very briefly, is Black Rose Dragon, believe it or not. And I'm talking about Crossroads of Chaos. Now, for those who don't know, Crossroads of Chaos does not have first edition boxes. This and Stardust Overdrive. Now, this card, obviously, it's Akiza's ace monster. Everyone loves Akiza. I can easily say she's probably the most popular female in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, if you talk to some old DM collectors, all that, they might say someone from, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Like that's great. But when you exclude those, it's Akiza hands down. And when you include those, it's usually Akiza still hands down. This card has cemented itself in Yu-Gi-Oh! For the rest of its history as being one of the signature synchro cards. In fact, I would say it's probably second next to Stardust. The reason why I'm telling you guys to grab this is because it doesn't have first ed boxes. The way you used to get first ed packs normally were from tins. And you get about 2 packs, possibly 3 in a few, but mostly just 2. So getting first edition anything from Crossroads of Chaos is very rare, and that's why first edition Crossroads of Chaos and Unlimited have such a large gap, even more than my 2 front teeth, guys. The gap is even bigger than that, alright? Now, the reason why I'm telling you guys Black Rose is because you can't, and I'm talking about the original Ultra Rare, is because when I look at all the other versions, the Ulti and the Ghost, they're completely gone. Yes, they're great to have, especially if you can get for cheaper, but they're basically gone. You're either biting the bullet and you're waiting like everybody else, which is fantastic. That's great. But the Ultras aren't as touched as the other versions. Now, they don't have too many left. Now, when it comes to first ed near mints, they actually start at $100, which is quite a bit. But first ed lightly plates, which is what I'm going to recommend you, start at $28. A first ed lightly plate at $28 and then a first ed near mint being $100, that's a large price difference. You get 3 first ed light plates for the price of a near mint, and that's way smarter than just grabbing 1 first ed near mint, especially if you get lucky enough where a LP card that you order sorry for the coughing, guys, and this sometimes happens, comes closer to near mint than light play, and it just feels so damn good, right? I've had it happen to me, and it's wonderful. Now, this is a card that's always going to sell and always be quite popular, but the fact that there's not even that many first and light play copies, while they go 28 to 33, they also quickly go up to $40, and there's, again, overall not that many first ed copies on the market, right? So for lightly plates at 28, they're going to quickly go to 50, and this is a card that gets bought out randomly whenever people need it or they just want it. So if you end up holding this for a year, I think you might actually end up having an $80 card. However, seeing how the market is and how there's a shortage of first ed Crossroads in general, getting the signature card, you might not even have to wait till the end of the year, and you might only have to wait half of that or a quarter of that, but maximum probably a year, and they might even go up higher than 80. Get this signature card while you can. 28's pretty cheap. And for the last card for your 5 cards out of your trade binder here is actually Kitchen Dragon Maid, and I'm going to be talking about the gold version being around $3. Now, this is a good $3 penny stock because the issue with Dragon Maids is not only for waifu material, but people just find this fun to play in all their degenerate dragon strategies. And dragons, especially Dragon Link, which is a deck I think is going to be around for an extremely long time, and variants of it are always going to play a certain amount of Dragon Maids, and Kitchen and the other Dragon Maids, the amount you play isn't strict, where I think when it comes to meta relevant builds, they either don't play it or they only play some of it. But some people like to play a ton of Dragon Maids, they like to play pure and all that jazz. And whenever Dragon Maids get reprinted, which are getting reprinted slowly, kind of like Madolches, the cards that have not gotten a reprint yet, like let's say Lopar, go up to $15, and that's a card that didn't even touch $1 the first 3 months it came out, right? Dragon Maid Changeover was a quarter, couldn't even touch $1 in the first 3 months. Same thing, it went up to $6, $7. Now, while Kitchen Dragon Maid was the first card to get reprinted, as we slowly get more cards for Dragon Maids, people slowly start collecting more and more Dragon Maids, and they slowly get more eager to play the deck. This card has been going up because when Dragon Maids get reprinted, people are like, oh, it's even cheaper. Now I can bite the bullet. And that depends on the budget of each player. So this card, which was originally like 70, 80 cents, went up to $1, $1.50, $2.25, you know, try to be a $3, the little $3 card that can. And we're finally at a $3 card that quickly goes up to $5 though, however. Now, I think this card could go up to $7, $8 a copy. So getting him at $3 right now is pretty good overall. It's a waifu card. It's one of the most important cards in the Dragon Maid strategy, so it is a 3 of. I would recommend getting a playset or 2 personally of this card. And I think you might have to hold this for a little while, but it shouldn't be overall too long. And along with the card quality for Kitchen Dragon Maids aren't too bad, even though Maximum Gold doesn't have the best card quality known to man. And this is also a card that's very easy to move, since a lot of players kind of like these waifu cards. Dragon Maids appeal to meta and casual, and when you have cards that appeal to both meta and casual, you have a way larger market to get your card to, but you also have way more people buying said card. So this is a card that can easily, hands down, go to $7, $8. It could go more, but I realistically see $7, $8. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, remember, like the video, subscribe if you're buying any of these cards off TCG Player. Please use my affiliate link down in the description below. Helps out the channel to know this should cost you. And like usual, tell me what you think it was worth picking up the most. What did you think of the list overall? And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.